They mistook your silence for weakness. They thought your stillness meant absence. They looked at you sitting at the edge of the room, speaking only when necessary, and they assumed nothing was happening inside you. But they could not have been more wrong, because inside you there was thunder. Inside you there were oceans breaking against cliffs, winds bending trees to their knees, lightning splitting the night sky. Inside you, the storm had been building for years. It began in the moments you bit your tongue instead of answering back. It began in the days you swallowed your rage because no one was listening. It began in the nights you laid in bed staring at the ceiling, rehearsing the words you never spoke, watching your dreams pace like caged animals in the dark. And because they never saw the storm, they assumed it didn't exist. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. And when pressure builds long enough, it becomes unstoppable. Nietzsche once said, "Those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music." Your music was not played for them. It roared in the chambers of your mind, the visions, the plans, the truths no one else dared to name. And you learned to keep it there, hidden, because the world was not ready for the full force of what you carried. You understood something they didn't. Power grows in the shadows. It grows when you are underestimated. It grows when people talk over you, when they dismiss you, when they walk away thinking they've seen the whole of you. They have not. They've seen the mask you chose to let them see, and you wore it with precision. You learned from history. From Machiavelli, who knew that power is most dangerous when disguised. From warriors who concealed their weapons until the battle began. From revolutionaries who spoke softly while the empire thought them harmless until the day came when the streets filled with fire. They called you quiet. But quiet is not the absence of force. Quiet is the sharpening of the blade before it strikes. Quiet is the gathering of the tide before it crashes. Quiet is the pause between lightning and thunder, the knowing, the inevitability, the breath before everything changes. And make no mistake, you are going to change everything, because storms do not build forever. They break, and when you break, you will not trickle into the world like rain, you will flood it. Every thought they ignored, every dream you shelved, every truth you swallowed will come pouring out with the force of years. They will not be ready. They never are. Because those who mistake stillness for passivity cannot comprehend what patience can do. They do not understand that every second you were silent, you were building something they couldn't see: the discipline to wait, the clarity to strike only when it mattered, the resilience to endure every insult, every dismissal, every underestimation. And this is why you will not simply speak. When your time comes, you will roar. Your words will not be tentative. They will be forged in the pressure of all the words you held back. Your actions will not be hesitant. They will be the result of years of watching, learning, and calculating. The storm inside you was never meant to stay hidden. It was meant to teach you patience, to teach you control, to teach you the art of holding your power until the exact moment it can reshape the world. And when that moment comes, they will remember you. They will remember the one they called quiet. They will remember the one they ignored, the one they overlooked, the one they thought could be dismissed. They will remember how wrong they were, because when your storm breaks, it will not ask for permission. It will not warn them. It will not be polite. It will move through everything in its path, tearing down what must fall and watering what must grow. And when it's done, when the sky clears and the air smells of rain, you will stand there not as the quiet one anymore, but as the one who carried the storm and finally set it free. They will tell you that in order to win, you must always be loud. They will insist that visibility is the same as power. They will push you to prove yourself, to show your hand, to announce your moves before you make them. But history has already proven otherwise. The greatest empires did not fall to the armies they saw coming. They fell to the ones they never noticed until it was too late. The most dangerous minds in history were not the ones shouting in the streets. They were the ones quietly rewriting the rules, while everyone else was distracted. The greatest transformations in human life often begin in silence, behind closed doors, in the quiet hours when no one is watching. Your silence has been your forge. While they were talking, you were listening. While they were boasting, you were learning. While they were seeking validation, you were building. This is why underestimation is your greatest weapon. It blinds your opponents. It lulls them into a false sense of superiority. It keeps them from guarding themselves against you because they've convinced themselves there's nothing to guard against. And so you move freely in the space their arrogance creates. You see everything. You remember everything. And when the time comes, you will use everything. Carl Jung knew the value of this kind of inner reserve. He understood that the true self grows in the depths beneath the surface of the personality you show the world. The persona, the mask, is not a lie, it's a tool. You've worn yours well. You've allowed the world to think you are smaller than you are, quieter than you are, less capable than you are. And in that space, you've been evolving, unseen, like roots deep beneath the soil. Roots are invisible until they break the ground. And by the time they do, they're unshakable. No one can pull them out. Because the real work was done when no one was looking. That's you. That's the storm you carry. But here is the part they will never understand until it's too late. Your silence was not the absence of action. It was a discipline to act only when it would matter most. It was the self-control to resist the ego's need to be seen, to resist the impulse to waste your energy on meaningless battles. It was the wisdom to understand that every move has a cost, and you refuse to pay that cost on anything that doesn't bring you closer to victory. When you finally move, you will move with the weight of every moment you waited. When you finally speak, your words will not be wasted. When you finally step into the light, you will not need to explain where you've been, because the results will speak in a language louder than anything you could have said. They will see you, and they will realize that the quiet one they ignored has been preparing to change the entire game. They will remember every time they dismissed you, every time they cut you off, every time they underestimated what was brewing in your mind. And they will understand too late that storms that wait always strike harder, because you have learned the ancient rhythm of nature itself. The wind whispers before it howls. The earth shifts before it quakes. The sky darkens before the lightning falls. And now the sky inside you is black with the weight of all you've held. The air is heavy. The pressure is at its breaking point. And when you choose, the storm will finally break. And when it does, the world will never call you quiet again. They will call you something else then. Not Keat, not shy, not reserved. They will call you unstoppable. They will call you inevitable. They will call you the one they never saw coming. But you will know the truth. You did not appear out of nowhere. You were there all along, watching, absorbing, refining, like a sculptor who chips away at the marble in silence for years before revealing the statue. You were shaping yourself while no one was paying attention. And that is why your storm will not be wild chaos, it will be precision. Every drop of rain will fall exactly where it is meant to. Every flash of lightning will strike with purpose. Every movement will be deliberate, chosen, inevitable. Because storms, in their truest form, are not accidents. They are the result of 1,000 invisible conditions gathering until release becomes the only option. And you have been gathering your power through the disappointments that taught you patience, through the betrayals that sharpened your vision, through the loneliness that made you self-reliant. They thought these things were breaking you, but they were building you, building the exact pressure, the exact focus, the exact force you needed. And here is the irony. The same people who underestimated you will be the first to act surprised when you rise. They will call it sudden. They will call it luck. They will say, you changed overnight. But you will smile, because you know the truth. Nothing about this was sudden. You've been preparing for this longer than they've been paying attention. Your storm was never meant to impress them. It was meant to free you. It was meant to take every limit they placed on you and shatter it. It was meant to tear down the walls they thought you would never climb. And when the dust settles, you will still be standing not because you survived the storm, but because you were the storm. Every drop of rain, every gust of wind, every deafening crash of thunder, all of it was you. And you will carry that knowledge into every room, every battle, every chapter of your life from this moment on. They will never call you quiet again. But you won't need them to call you anything at all, because storms don't ask for recognition. They simply arrive and change everything. And when you arrive, you will not arrive timidly. You will not slip through the back door, hoping not to be noticed. You will step through the front, head high, and the air will shift around you. People will feel it before they understand it, the presence of someone who no longer bends, no longer hides, no longer waits for permission. Because the storm inside you has done something permanent. It has burned away the parts of you that once doubted. It has drowned the voice that whispered, "Stay small, stay safe, stay silent." It has replaced hesitation with inevitability. And you will move differently now. Not recklessly, no. That was never your way. You will move with the patience of someone who has nothing left to prove, yet everything left to claim. Your steps will be measured. Your words chosen like arrows. Your presence felt even in stillness. Those who knew you before will stare, trying to reconcile the person you were with the force you've become. Some will resent you for it. They will miss the version of you that made them comfortable, the one who stayed in the shadows so they could take up more space. Others will try to claim they always knew you had it in you. But neither the resentment nor the false recognition will matter, because this was never about them. It never was. It was about you finally stepping into the power you carried all along. It was about you understanding that being underestimated was not a curse, it was your camouflage. It gave you the freedom to prepare without interference, to grow without sabotage, to observe without being observed. And now that you are here, there is no going back. The storm does not retreat into the clouds after it has broken. It moves forward, reshaping the land, carving rivers where there were none, clearing the air for new life to grow. You will do the same. You will not be the same force every day. Sometimes you will be rain that nourishes, sometimes wind that clears, sometimes lightning that shocks the sky awake. But you will always be moving, always reshaping, always reminding the world that silence is not the absence of power. It is the preparation for it. And one day, someone will look at you, at the life you've built, at the strengths in your eyes, and they will ask where it all came from. They will want to know when you decided to become this person. And you will simply say, "I didn't decide. I always was." Because the truth is, you were never quiet. You were always carrying a storm. And now, the world finally knows it. And once the world knows it, everything shifts. The people who once spoke over you will now measure their words in your presence. The ones who dismissed your ideas will suddenly want to hear your thoughts, though you'll know the value of giving your voice only where it matters. Doors that were once locked will creak open, not because someone handed you the key, but because your presence alone demands they open. But here is the most important part. You will not rush through those doors. You will walk through them with the same deliberate pace you carried in the shadows. Because the storm taught you something, the impatient never learn that timing is a weapon. That striking at the right moment is worth more than striking 100 times too soon. This is the mastery your silence gave you. While others burned out chasing every opportunity, you learned to wait for the one that would change everything. While they scattered their energy in every direction, you gathered yours into a singular, unshakable force. And now that force moves through you with precision. You will carry yourself differently now, not in arrogance, but in certainty. Not in loud declarations of what you're going to do, but in the quiet assurance of someone who already knows it's done. You won't need to convince anyone, because your actions will speak in a language older and truer than words. Some will fear you now, not because you've harmed them, but because they sense you cannot be controlled. And in a world built on manipulation, a free mind is a dangerous thing. They will test you, hoping to find the old cracks in your armor. They will prod at your silence, hoping it is still the silence of suppression and not the silence of power. But they will find nothing, because your quiet now is not the quiet of retreat. It is the quiet of the hunter, the quiet of the ocean before the wave, the quiet of someone who knows they can move mountains, but chooses carefully which ones to move. And this is when you'll understand why you had to wait, why you had to be overlooked, why you had to carry that storm in secret for so long. It was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. Now, the storm is not something you unleash only once. It lives in you, a permanent climate, a force you can summon at will. You can let it rage when the moment calls for it, or you can let it sleep while you walk through the world in stillness. Either way, it is yours. And no one, no rejection, no betrayal, no underestimation can take it from you again. Because the quiet one they thought they knew is gone. And in their place stands the storm. And the storm does not apologize for its existence. It does not shrink so others can feel tall, nor dim so others can shine brighter. It moves with its own rhythm, its own inevitability, answering only to the forces that birthed it. That is you now, unshaken, unowned, unafraid. You no longer measure yourself by how well you fit into the spaces others give you. You build your own spaces. You shape the ground beneath your feet and dare the world to keep up. Because the storm taught you that waiting for permission is just another form of self-betrayal. And it's not that you've become ruthless, it's that you've become sovereign. You understand the weight of your own voice, so you use it with purpose. You understand the reach of your own hands, so you build deliberately. You understand the cost of your own energy, so you no longer give it to those who drain rather than fuel you. This is the part they won't understand. The transformation isn't just in your presence, it's in your boundaries. Before, you let anyone step into your quiet and take from it. Now, they must earn the right to stand in your calm or withstand the force of your storm. The same patience that kept you silent has now become your filter. You no longer leap at every invitation, every promise, every opportunity dressed in urgency. You let people reveal themselves fully before you decide how much of yourself they get to see. You let life unfold before deciding when and where to strike. And in this, you have mastered something rare. The balance between stillness and force. Too much stillness and nothing changes. Too much force and you burn yourself out. But you have learned to move like the seasons, to rest when it is time to rest, to grow when it is time to grow, to strike when the world least expects it. The quiet one is gone. The underestimated one is gone. And in their place is the one who understands their own magnitude. The world may still try to label you, to contain you, to define you by the old image it remembers. Let them, because while they speak in the language of yesterday, you are already living in the reality of tomorrow. You know the truth. You were never just scared. You were gathering. You were preparing. You were building the pressure of 1,000 storms. And now you are free to let them break whenever you choose. And when you choose, the release will not just be felt, it will be remembered. Because storms like yours leave landscapes changed forever. They don't simply pass through. They carve new rivers, uproot dead trees, clear the suffocating weight of stagnant air. When you move now, you move as a force of renewal and destruction, at once tearing down what no longer serves you and making space for what will. You will notice something strange when you live like this. The world begins to step aside for you without knowing why. It's not fear, though some will confuse it for that. It's recognition, a primal awareness that they are in the presence of someone who cannot be swayed by shallow temptations or small distractions. Someone who has walked through fire in silence and emerged with the flame under their own command. You will see it in the way people speak to you now, the way they hesitate before lying, The way they second guess before underestimating you. They may not know your whole story, but they feel the weight of it, like the heaviness in the air before rain. And yet, you won't live to prove them wrong anymore. That hunger is gone. You're not here for their recognition or their applause. You're here because the storm inside you demands to move, and you've learned the art of letting it. This is the evolution they will never see coming, not just the rise of your voice, but the depth of your silence. Because now your quiet is not the quiet of fear. It is the quiet of choice. It's the stillness of a predator who knows exactly when to strike. It's the calm of a mind that has seen too much to be easily rattled. The old you would have rushed to fill that quiet with explanations, with justifications, with proof of your worth. The you that carries the storm lets the quiet speak for itself. And it speaks volumes. You understand now that true power is not in constant motion, but in controlled release. A storm that rages without direction eventually destroys itself. But a storm that knows its own strength can split mountains. That is you. That is what you have become. And as you walk forward from here, you will do so without looking back. Because the life that required you to stay small, to stay silent, to stay hidden, it no longer fits. You outgrew it in the dark. You outgrew it in the waiting. You outgrew it the moment you realized your silence was not emptiness, but power in its purest form. Now the world will know the truth you've always carried. You were never fragile. You were never passive. You were never just the quiet one. You were the storm waiting for its moment. And now, that moment is yours. And so you stand here now, no longer in the shadows, no longer in the waiting. The air around you carries that unspoken charge, the kind that makes people glance at the sky and wonder if something is coming. They don't realize it's already here. You are the storm they never saw forming, the one that gathered in silence, biding its time while the world thought it could ignore you. The one that fed on every doubt, every dismissal, every locked door, until the weight of it became impossible to contain. Now you move, not to prove, but to become. Every step forward is the sound of thunder rolling across the horizon. Every choice you make is a flash of lightning that cuts through the fog of their complacency. And you know with the certainty of the earth itself that nothing will ever be the same. They will try to remember what you were like before this. Some will swear you changed overnight. Others will pretend they always saw this in you. But you will smile because you know the truth. This was never a sudden arrival. This was years in the making. This was the storm you've carried your entire life, finally let loose into the world. And as you look ahead, you will see no walls, only open sky. You will feel no hesitation, only the pull of your own inevitability. You will need no validation, only the knowledge that you are exactly what you were always meant to be. They called you quiet. They called you small. They called you forgettable. But now they will call you something else. They will call you power. They will call you change. They will call you the storm that came and never left. And you will call yourself free.